Hello everyone, it's Mark and welcome back. In this video, I want to educate you about the Baker Act and specifically what I call the quote, sympathy card. So we've had a couple of these calls, but just recently we had two that were really sort of prompted me to make this video for you. The first was somebody who called, it was a gentleman that called, his wife had been Baker Acted, they were in their mid-50s, sounded like a really good case for the facility. In terms of she had apparently taken too much of her medication. It appears there was strong evidence that it was intentional, and she got taken to the emergency room for an overdose, and then she got transferred to this Baker Act facility. And it's a facility that we have litigated against before, so I know that they are prone to doing things that I would not consider ethical. And he said to me, look, I have a terminal disease. I'm probably going to be, gone in the next, year to 18 months. And I said, I'm very sorry to hear this, but tell me what you're hoping we could do for you. And he said, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to need a lawyer. I think I'm just going to go down there and tell them I'm terminally ill. And I said, okay, so are you hoping they will have sympathy for you? He said, yeah. Why would they hold the spouse of somebody who's terminally ill? And I said, because she has health insurance and this is a pretty good case for them. That's why they would hold her. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, they don't care. I'm sorry, if you want sympathy, I'm happy to give it to you, but it's not going to get your wife released. And the facility, they don't care. They do not care, about your situation. We had a call from a pregnant woman, and she was, 2/3 of the way there, to giving birth. And she said, I'm just going to march down there and say, look, I'm going to have a baby. And I said, and again, it was a really good case where there was strong evidence of self-harm and the individual had health insurance. And I said, you can march down there, but they don't care. And again, it was a facility that we know from litigating against multiple times in the past, this is a good case for them and he has health insurance. They're not going to let this person go. They're just simply not. And I hate to tell you this, but the facilities do not care about your personal circumstances. That they really don't. And you know me, I cut to the chase on this stuff. I'm going to tell you how it is. The facilities that are bad, and not all of them are, but the ones that are bad, and they are routinely bad, are bad because they will look for any reason to try and keep somebody if they can make money. And where there's a good case for them and there's health insurance, they do not care about your circumstances. They care about making money. And if they have a good case and there's insurance to tap, for every pill, group session, whatever else they charge for, they're going to fight, and they're going to fight like hell to keep your loved one, because this is what keeps the lights on for them. And so, while I am sorry about your own circumstances, and a little rain falls in everybody's life, it has certainly fallen in mine, and it did when I had a family member Baker Acted. It was just a couple of days after I lost my dad, so I really get it. But the facilities, they don't care. And so, if you're going to delay trying to get your loved one out, or not make any effort at all to get them out because you think that the facility has sympathy, unfortunately, I think you're going to probably suffer the consequences of that. In both these instances, they were great cases with health insurance and a nefarious facility. I think these people are both going to get stuck. I think at least in one of them, the facility already told them, we're planning to keep this person for 30 days. And I told the respective spouse, I said, you should believe them. If they say it, they mean it. They're going to do it. I said, so if you want to get them out, now is the time to fight, because after the fact, once that judge enters a court order, I'm not saying I can't get them out. I'm going to tell you it's not only a much more difficult process, it's going to be more expensive in terms of the fees and costs that are associated. But hey, I'm here to give families options. If you decide not to take our advice, that's fair enough. This is a no judgment zone, but don't call me afterwards crying saying I should have done this or I should have done that, because the train will have left the station. So anyway, with that said, if you have any comments or questions, post them. I read everybody's postings. I try to respond within 24 hours. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.